Good evening. My name is Pasha McGregor. On behalf of the board of the New Thought Center of Hawaii, I welcome you to our 2020 Christmas Eve service. This is definitely one for the record books, our first ever virtual Christmas Eve candlelight service. I thank you for tuning in. If we think about what we are missing, the hugs, the beautiful decorations, the bright-eyed, well-dressed keiki, the cocoa, the treats after service. Well, we have the potential to make ourselves really sad. But as people who study and practice New Thought principles, we know that we can see it differently. We can broaden our consciousness. As the Grinch realized in Dr. Seuss's classic Christmas story, the holiday is not in the tinsel or trappings, the toys or the wrappings. The COVID-19 pandemic requires us to keep separate in a physical sense this year. But paradoxically, it also brings us together in consciousness, dissolving the barriers of time and place. I'm sure we have people watching this recording who are thousands of miles from Hawaii. They couldn't possibly have jumped in their cars to drive to Kealakekua in a normal year. And some of you may be watching at times other than 6 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, either for reasons of personal convenience or because you live in a different time zone. So what apparently separates us also unites us. It also challenges us to look more deeply beyond the tinsel and the trappings for the essence of Christmas. In her December 6th program, which launched the holiday season for New Thought Center, Jamila Noor described the custom of the Yule log, which originated in the cold northern countries. For the year between one Christmas and the next, the embers of the old log were protected and sustained so that they would be able to ignite the next year's Yule log. I took this to heart as a member of the Leadership Council, the Board of Trustees of New Thought Center, because I feel like most of what we've been doing since April is keeping the embers alive. Our various delivery systems that we've tried, the live streams, the Zoom sharing, the YouTube recordings, they're not as satisfying as the real thing. We know that. But by doing what we can, by keeping the embers alive, we have faith that New Thought Center can arise again in full beauty and power once the shadow of the pandemic has passed over. So tonight's service is also an ember, and a particularly important one, since the Christmas Eve service is probably the oldest, most cherished tradition that we have in our not very traditional church. The first one I attended was in the early 80s in the old Kona industrial area. And that may not have been the first one, but even if it were, we're talking about, we've probably been doing this for 40 years. So another sense in which it is an ember rather than an actual fire is we have some really world-class musicians participating in the program tonight and doing it, gratis in the spirit of Christmas. And in case you don't already know, I want you to realize that what you hear is just an approximation of how beautiful it would sound if we were really all in the same place. We are dealing with the limitations of technology and in some cases in our skills. Um, and I am just so grateful to all of them, to the 10 people who said yes and agreed to co-create this event. And I trust you will forgive us if there are a few glitches. As we were creating this recording, which you are now watching, we used Zoom to bring together musicians and readers from 8 different locations, I believe. One in Hawaii and 6 or 7 in various parts of Kona, north and south. You will generally only see 1 or 2 of us on the screen at a time, but just for the moment, I'm going to change the settings so that you can see us all at once in our various settings. So here goes. Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. So back to speaker view. All right, I think we're ready to begin. So, first up, we have Uma Ojeda, who will now perform Joy to the World.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive our King. Yeah. Let every heart, yeah, prepare him room. Oh, oh, and heaven and nature sing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and lanes repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat, repeat the sounding joy. Joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Joy to the people everywhere you see and don't see. Joy to you and me. Joy, joy to the world. Oh,
So is everyone awake now? I bet that was a different version of Joy to the World than most of you are expecting. So thank you, Uma. And we are now going to have a story. So Eric Langberg will read us the story called The Rabbi's Gift.
This is a story, perhaps a myth. Typical of mythic stories, it has many versions. Also typical, the source of the version I am about to tell is obscure. I cannot remember whether I heard it or read it, or where or when. Furthermore, I do not even know the distortions I myself have made in it. All I know for certain is that this version came to me with a title. It is called The Rabbit's Gift. The story concerns a monastery that had fallen upon hard times. Once a great order, as a result of waves of anti-monastic persecution in the 17th and 18th centuries, and the rise of secularism in the 19th and 18th centuries, and the rise of secularism in the 19th. All its branch houses were lost, and it had become decimated to the extent that there were only 5 monks left in the decaying mother house, the abbot and 4 others, all over 70 in age. Clearly, it was a dying order. In the deep woods surrounding the monastery, there was a little hut that a rabbi from a nearby town occasionally used for a hermitage. Through their many years of prayer and contemplation, the old monks had become a bit psychic, so they could always sense when the rabbi was in his hermitage. The rabbi is in the woods. The rabbi is in the woods again, they would whisper to each other. As he agonized over the imminent death of his order, it occurred to the abbot at one such time to visit the hermitage and ask the rabbi if by some possible chance he could offer any advice that might save the monastery. The rabbi welcomed the abbot at his hut, but when the abbot explained the purpose of his visit, the rabbi could only commiserate with him. "I know how it is," he exclaimed. "The spirit has gone out of the people. It is the same in my town. Almost no one comes to the synagogue anymore." So the old abbot and the old rabbi wept together. Then they read parts of the Torah and quietly spoke of deep things. The time came when the abbot had to leave. They embraced each other. "It has been a wonderful thing that we should meet after all these years," the abbot said, "but I have still failed in my purpose for coming here. Is there nothing you can tell me? No piece of advice you can give me that would help me save my dying order?" "No, I am sorry," the rabbi responded. "I have no advice to give. The only thing I can tell you is that the Messiah is one of you." When the abbot returned to the monastery, his fellow monks gathered around him to ask, "Well, what did the rabbi say?" "He couldn't help," the abbot answered. "We just wept and read the Torah together. The only thing he did say, just as I was leaving, it was something cryptic, was that the Messiah is one of us. I don't know what he meant." In the days and weeks and months that followed, the old monks pondered this and wondered whether there was any possible significance to the rabbi's words. The Messiah is one of us. The Messiah is one of us? Could he possibly have meant one of us monks here at the monastery? If that's the case, which one? Do you suppose he meant the abbot? Yes, if he meant anyone, he probably meant Father Abbot. He has been our leader for more than a generation. On the other hand, he might have meant Brother Thomas. Certainly, Brother Thomas is a holy man. Everyone knows that. Thomas is a man of light. Certainly, he could not have meant Brother Elred. Elred gets crotchety at times. But come to think of it, even though he is a thorn in people's sides, when you look back on it, Elred is virtually always right, often very right. Maybe the rabbi did mean Brother Elred, but surely not Brother Philip. Philip is so passive, a real nobody, but then, almost mysteriously, he has a gift for somehow always being there when you need him. He just magically appears by your side. Maybe Philip is the Messiah. Of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. He couldn't possibly have meant me. I'm just an ordinary person. Yet supposing he did. Suppose I am the Messiah. Oh God, not me. I couldn't be that much for you, could I? As they contemplated in the summer, the old monks began to treat each other with extraordinary respect on the off chance that one among them might be the Messiah. And on the off chance that each monk himself might be the Messiah, they began to treat themselves with extraordinary respect. Because the forest in which it was situated was beautiful, it so happened that people still occasionally came to visit the monastery, to picnic on its tiny lawn, to wander among some of its paths, even now and then to go into the dilapidated chapel to meditate. As they did so, without even being conscious of it, they sensed this aura of extraordinary respect that now began to surround the 5 old monks and seemed to radiate out from them and permeate the atmosphere of the place. There was something strangely attractive, even compelling about it. Hardly knowing why, they began to come back to the monastery more frequently, to picnic, to play, to pray. They began to bring their friends to show them this special place, and their friends brought their friends. Then it happened that some of the younger men who came to visit the monastery started to talk more and more with the old monks. After a while, one asked if he could join them, then another, and another. So within a few years, the monastery had once again become a thriving order, and thanks to the rabbi's gift, a vibrant center of light and spirituality in the realm.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I thought I was unmuted, but I just acknowledge Eric. Thank you very much. And I love that story. And now Bernice and Manuel Roberto will perform a Christmas medley for us on harp and flute. Hello. Oh, that was so heart-filling. Thank you. So next we have Pomaikai Kulon, who will share Ernest Holmes' thoughts on the meaning of Christmas.
Aloha. The Christmas story. This month, all over the world, people are celebrating the birth of the Christ. Naturally, there are different ideas of what this means. Some take the gospel story as literal, and some as figurative. Happening, personally, I think we can weld the two together. Let us then revisit the story of this unique life with this in mind, that we are not rehearsing a narrative enacted 2,000 years ago, but we are describing the possibility of what might transpire in our own experience today. We have here probably not only the most sublime drama, but the story that makes the greatest human appeal. Why? Good question. Because it is the story of a man who surrendered all that is human to that which is divine, and did it without discounting that which is human. What does that mean in our lives? It means that it is the story of possibility of my experience and your experience. Christ is the divine spirit incarnated within us, a presence ever waiting to be loosed into self-expression. And if we say, I am poor, I am weak, remember the child born in the manger. Ooh. If we say, I have no powerful friends, no opportunities, remember the man who had the nerve to sit 5,000 people down in the desert and bless what little he did have until it multiplied into a feast, a banquet for thousands. If we say the vicissitudes of fortune are against me and the winds of chance tear the sails of my boat, and the ocean of my experience is disturbed by the tornado, remember the man who stilled the waves and brought the boat immediately to shore. And if the fear of impending disaster overcomes us, or the thought of death congeals our blood into inaction, remember him who said, be of good cheer. I am the resurrection and the life. This was written by Ernest Holmes, 1952. So, meleklikimaka, everyone.
It sounds so modern, doesn't it? It was written so long ago, yet it stands the test of time. Thank you, Pomaikai. And now we go back to the Robertos, who will perform a traditional carol, What Child Is This?
What child is this laid to rest on Mary's lap? He's sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping. This angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. So bring him incense, gold and myrrh, compassionate King, to own him, the King of kings, salvation brings. Let loving hearts enthrone him. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of
Thank you. Well, that's a good segue to the next part of our service. Jean Love will be telling us the biblical story of the Nativity, that's to say the birth of Jesus. She'll be reading it in 4 installments, and after each section, Davina Marr will sing a Christmas song related to the reading, and all of you are invited to sing along. If you're off key, no one will know. The lyrics will be visible on your screen, and Marie Claire will be playing the piano accompaniment. So you're on, Jean.
And in those days, Caesar Augustus made a law. It required that a list be made of everyone in the whole Roman world. All went to their own towns to be registered. So Joseph went also. He went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea. That is where Bethlehem, the town of David, was. Joseph went there because he belonged to the family line of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged. She was expecting a baby, and Joseph and Mary were there. The time came for the child to be born. She gave birth to her first baby. It was a boy. She wrapped him in large strips of cloth. Then she placed him in a manger because there was no room for him or them in the inn. And now, little town of Bethlehem.
Little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. Oh, morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to men on earth.
There were shepherds living out in the fields nearby. It was night, and they were taking care of their sheep. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them. They were terrified, but the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news. It will bring for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. Here is how you will know I am telling you the truth. You will find a baby wrapped in strips of cloth and laying in a manger." Suddenly, a large group of angels from heaven also appeared. They were praising God. They said, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth, peace, goodwill among people." And now, angels we have heard on high.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Gloria in excelsis Deo. In excelsis Deo.
The angels left and went into heaven. Then the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem. Let's see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby. The baby was laying in the manger. After the shepherds had seen him, they told everyone what the angels had said about this child. All who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God, for they had all heard and seen. And now the first Noel.
The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields where they lay, tending their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel.
And in the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men came from the east, came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born to be King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose. Now we have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was troubled. Calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he asked them where the Messiah was going to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied. Then Herod called for the wise men. He found out from them exactly when the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem. After the wise men had listened to the king, they went on their way, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were filled with joy. The wise men went to the house. There they saw the child with his mother, Mary. They bowed down and worshiped him. Then, opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now join us in "Do You Hear What I Hear?"
Said the night wind to the little lamb, "Do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite." Said the little lamb to the shepherd, hear what I hear? Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. Do you hear what I hear? A song, high above the trees, with a voice as big as the sea. With a voice as big as the sea. Said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace warm, mighty king, do you know what I know? A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Said the king to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere. Listen to what I say. The child, sleeping in the night, he will bring us goodness and light. He will bring us goodness and light.
That was lovely. Thank you, our nativity team here, Davina, Marie, and Jean. Now we reach the part in our service where the ushers circulate with the koa bowls for your Christmas offering. You're going to have to imagine the ushers, but we will nevertheless have some beautiful offertory music. O Holy Night, performed by Davina and Marie.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. 'Tis the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees and hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine. Led by the light of faith serenely beaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. So led by light of a star sweetly gleaming, here come the wise men from Orient land. The King of Kings lay hear the angel voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night. Oh, light divine.
Thank you, Davina. Thank you, Marie Claire. And thank all of you for your offerings to New Thought Center, whether they are financial or in the form of blessings and good thoughts. We appreciate all kinds. Now, this is kind of the climactic point in the service when we get to light our candles. And the process begins with the lighting of the Christ candle. I will invite Pomaikai to do the honors. And then you can, and assisted by Faye. And once that Christ candle is lit, you can light your own candle in your home. And while this process is happening, Manuel and Bernice will be playing Pachelbel's canon. Right, you're on, Faith and Pomai.
Aloha, everyone. We must remember that there is really no such thing as darkness, and that one tiny spark can expel a multitude of darkness. And remember that within our hearts, each one of us, we have that spark. We have that spark to ignite love, peace, joy, harmony, companionship, trust, beauty, creativity. We have that spark to ignite all that who we truly are. And this lighting of the Christ candle is a symbol of lighting that spark within one more time to remember who we really, truly are.
That hurts me now.
So Faith is going to light our Christ candle.
Hold on, I
Do
need
it.
to be full so I can actually. I need my arm to do that.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and begin the music now and the act of candle lighting.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hello. Oh, I hope that slideshow worked. thank you for all the people who sent your images. That during the Pachelbel's canon, you were supposed to see a sequence of pictures submitted by various friends and members of New Thought holding their candles. So, and even if it didn't work, the music was beautiful. So we will be closing with Silent Night, led by Uma, performed, I should say, by Uma and Dave Ojeda. And yes, I think we're ready.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love your light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Sleep, sleep in heavenly, heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly, heavenly, heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Oh my God. That was crazy. The screen just cut out. That's okay.
Thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas. You may now blow out your candles if you're holding them as you're watching this virtual Christmas Eve service. And great thanks to all of the co-creators. The next New Thought event will be Zoom sharing. It will not be on YouTube. It is Sunday, the 27th of December, and you will find an invitation, a Zoom invitation on the New Thought website and in your email if you're on our list. That is a different kind of service that we do once a month, and you have to show up at the right time. It doesn't matter where you are as long as you have internet, but it's from 10 to 11:30 Hawaii time. I hope you are able to join us. That's a participatory Zoom. All right, aloha everyone, and a big Merry Christmas from New Thought Center of Hawaii.